Let's take a look at what we called a European look-back option. The European look-back option basically have two main varieties. One is called a floating look-back options. The other one is called fixed look-back option. So for floating look-back options, a call or a floating look-back call basically has a payoff and maturity that's equal to the realized stock price minus the minimum price of the stock. A floating look-back put then provides a payoff and maturity of the maximum of the stock minus the realized stock price and maturity. For fixed look-back options, fixed look-back call has a payoff at maturity that's equal to the maximum of stock price in history minus the a fixed strike price that's predetermined. And a fixed look-back put will provide a payoff at maturity for the amount of strike price minus the minimum of the stock price in the history. Now, to calculate max or mean, you really need to know which history that is under calculation. So it's usually the max and mean are the maximum value of the stock or the minimum value of the stock in some reference asset from time 0 to time t. Now, this time 0 is not necessarily the current time when we're pricing this option, because the option may be in existence for like 2 months, may have an original life of 3 months. So if the option is being 1 month into its life, the max and mean is not calculated from this point onward for 2 months. It's really for the entire 3 months for this option that is in existence. So just be careful what the time period that is required to calculate the maximum price of a stock or the minimum price of the stock in the history. And the history is usually the time where the option is first become available, or what is first in existence till maturity time. To price European look-back options, the main the most important aspect of that is really to figure out the process followed by Smax or Xmin. So suppose you assume that the stock price follows the log normal process, then from that you have to deduct what is the process that follows by Smax and what is the process that is followed by Smin. As soon as you're able to derive that, you then can price the look-back options very easily. So a bit of a notation. Let's denote the call of floating look-back option call option is CFL, and for floating put is PFL, and the and a fixed look-back call is CFX, and a fixed look-back put is PFix. Okay, with their corresponding payoff functions. Now I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail, but really, if you know the or you've assumed stock itself follows a log normal process, then there's a process that you can deduct for Smax and Xmin, and then therefore you can deduct a closed form solution for European look-back options. So for a floating look-back option call, will have this particular form, and a floating look-back put will have this particular form here. Okay. Now, once you know the price of a floating European look-back option, you can then calculate the price of the fixed European look-back option through the Poukot parity condition here. To use the Poukot parity condition to price the fixed European look-back option from, we know the price of floating European look-back option, you have to make a substitution. Remember, in the pricing of floating European look-back option, you need to use either an S-min or an S-max. And those are the values where, for example, S-min is the minimum price that is up to the point where the valuation is taken. So it's, if you are, let's say you have an option where you're pricing it. The option has been in existence for 1 month. The option has an entire tenor of, say, 3 months. The S-min is the minimum price in the first month. But basically, it's the time that the option becomes in existence up to the point that you're pricing it. What is the minimum price? And use that minimum price as a mean in the formula here. So similarly, you do that to calculate the X max and put in the formula to calculate the for the floating look-back European put option. Now for the fixed option, the look-back fixed European call option, look-back call, you have to use a price where at the pace of S max, you use this condition, use the max of S max you observed so far, okay. For S min, you have to use the minimum of S min, okay. So you make that substitution and put them into the floating rate formula there. And then you can use a Poukot parity condition like this to calculate the fixed European look-back option call with the price of a floating European look-back option put, provided you make the substitution on the price. Similarly, you can calculate the fixed look-back put, and by this Poukot parity condition using the price of a floating look-back call with the price substituted according to condition here. Basically, you can, to make sense of this, you can basically check this Poukot parity condition by looking at the payoffs. So looking at the maturity date, and you will see that this condition will actually give you the payoff that's required. The reason there are look-back options in the market is because people or the marketers try to tell their client that this kind of option are the type of option that provides value to client. So if you look at the payoffs here for floating call, I mean, really, it's the best you can ever have, right? It's it's the realized price, not minus a fixed price, but to minus the smallest price you are actually observed in the history. And for a put, is the stock price rather than a fixed price here, a strike price. You use the maximum realized stock price minus the realized price. So it's like a value proposition to clients. It can, I mean, it provides much better value. But obviously, with that, you're gonna pay a higher price. So the look back options will have higher price than the regular options.